back to Monday here. Game was it game 8? Is that where we're at? Game 8 now. As I told you last Thursday, season's flying. We closed the chapter last night on Syracuse. Good meetings. I think probably the greatest takeaway from the game was, the adversity we went through in the entire game. Our guys, fought back. They didn't go. There was no blinking on the sideline as far as what's going to happen. I mean, they go down. The only drive of the day they had in the fourth quarter, which was a good drive by them and maybe poor execution by our defense, but the only drive they had of the game was in that quarter, and then they come out and do an onside kick, called a sniper, where they try to hit a guy in the front row, and that's hard to do. It's a great job by their kicker, but our guys didn't blink, and we went either 3 and out or 4 and out after that series, which was huge. I think it was 4 and out. Stopped them on 4th down, but being down numbers, next man up, guys that were on the field at that point hadn't played a whole lot of snaps the entire year at times, but just the way our guys responded, to me, that tells you, your guys believe. And that's why I told our guys last night. I think we played really good on defense. I think the first half we scored 7 points. It was on a 12-yard drive. Really, really happy with how our defense responded and played all day. Happy with our special teams, obviously. Kenny Johnson punt return was big time. And then offensively, we didn't play very good, as you could see. And you go back and watch the videotape, it's different than you felt on game day, like what's going on. I obviously did a poor job of preparing our offense for that game. I think the noise was a lot more than Florida State. It's been a while since we've been up there. We won't make that mistake again. But we played, we practiced with a lot of noise, but it was just different, and we didn't respond well. But when you go back and look at the offensive tape, just the amount of penalties, man. I put it up last night in here. It's like we filled up a page on the thing, which really has not been us for the most part. We've gone 6 or 7 a game, but not that many. And majority were on special teams, on offense. So it's hard calling plays. It's hard to get first downs. It's hard to move the sticks when you're going backwards too often. I don't care what plays you call. I mean, when you're behind the sticks, you got a problem, and you don't protect the quarterback. So, combination of those two things, got our offense, and that's why the production looked like it did. But again, the way they finished is critical. And that last drive, again, still with penalties involved, and Poppy's catch down near the goal line, and then just eating up the clock in victory offense. Again, it's not how you start. It's not really what happens in the middle of the game. It's how you finish. So happy for our guys there. But to beat this North Carolina State football team, which is the most talented football team that we will have played to date, I can guarantee you that they are the most talented. They're well coached. We'll have to play a complete game. Okay. Week before Florida State, defense didn't play very good. Offense played really well. Okay. You flip it to the Syracuse game, defense played really well. Offense didn't play very good. If that happens Saturday, one of those offense or defense phases doesn't play good, it will not be a good Saturday afternoon. So that'll be what we prepare for. Dave Doran, he's a great friend. He's a great coach. He's a great person. He's been in this league for a long time. He's won a lot of football games. Have a ton of respect for him and what he does there at North Carolina State. Does a great job recruiting. He finds guys that fit his system, and they are talented. Offensively, C.J. Bailey starts with him at quarterback. A young kid that is efficient. He can run. He's athletic, and he's accurate. I mean, they're one of the most efficient passing offenses in the country. Holiday Smothers. Think of Holiday. Hollywood is really good. Their tailback is special. Best tailback we faced to this time at this point. One of the top 2 leading receivers, as well as he's a bounce runner. He's got speed. He's as close to a guy like Des Reed that we'll face this year so far, at least. I know we got some great ones coming up here in the future, but he's really good. Their tight end is special. Number 7 is really special. Kurt Roper does a great job as the offense coordinator. And then DJ Elliott's a DC, play a lot of 4 down, a lot of quarters coverage like us, a lot of man free. And some cover 3 as well, so they're very multiple in what they do. This will be the best set of defensive ends that we will have faced as well. The one defensive end, Harsh, I believe his name is, Sebastian Harsh is, and a clone is on the other side. Those are the 2 best defensive ends we'll face this year so far. Our tackles will have to play really good to have a chance to throw the football at all, and obviously in the run game. They're good versus the run, and they're good versus the pass. They're not just pass rushers. Overall, they got a really good offense and really good defense, and I haven't peeked at a lot of the special teams yet, but I'm sure they're good there like they are in the other two phases. Questions?
Obviously, Dez was limited, had to leave the game at the end, but he still didn't have any targets when he was in there. What did Syracuse do to take him away as a receiving option?
Nothing really. I think it's just, the play count. I think he was only on the field for 23 plays, so he wasn't on the field a whole bunch. Obviously came in as a game time decision, and we didn't get him to, we wanted to play more. But we also had the plan of if he plays of just, not abusing him, okay? It's a long season. We feel good with those other tailbacks as well. As we've spoken, you saw Boosie go down that sideline on the one that got called back. He's special as well. So we just want to have Dez for a long period of time. Probably took too many snaps at Florida State, but gosh, you had to turn it loose. And we tried to be a little bit smarter because he didn't come out of that game as healthy as we wanted to. As I told you, he didn't practice on Tuesday, he didn't practice on Wednesday. But we just didn't want to get into, and again, I mentioned it before the Florida State game, but we just don't want to get to the point where he goes back to where he was 4 weeks ago. And but he's special, and we just got to be smart. And again, I think the one time we had a target to him, Mason ended up scrambling away. He should have just thrown it to him, and they peeled on him and took it away. And I think we ended up getting sacked on that play, where Mason should just, he's going to make somebody miss in space. Even if the defender's right there, I trust Zero with the ball in his hand. He's going to catch it. He's going to make a play, but Mason got spooked out on it. But and I think it would have been a big pass reception for him. But again, what Syracuse did was put us behind the sticks. We put ourselves behind the sticks as well. So we beat ourselves up on offense ourselves. What we did, not really as much of what they did schematically.
Syracuse's pass rush hadn't been getting home very much this season. Then they get 7 sacks against you guys. After watching the tape, was there something that they did differently?
No, it's something that we did differently. We didn't execute very well. Okay, we didn't execute very well. And I don't know if our guys were feeling themselves from the week before. That's kind of what I told them last night. I mean, defense, you played terrible against Florida State and you bowed up. Okay, offense, you played great against Florida State, and then you have a down game. And you know what? It's about consistency, and you can't think, oh, we're going to be okay, we're good, and we're going to walk into that game and just beat anybody. You better come to play. And I'm not saying they didn't come to play. We just didn't execute for whatever reason. I wish I could tell you exactly what it was, but we didn't execute. But the great thing is they're not going to not execute 2 weeks in a row. So they will be a lot better this weekend. We've got to keep our defense straight and make sure they can do it 2 weeks in a row. And that's my job as a head coach, to make sure that they're all not feeling too comfortable, too confident, that they think they can just put their helmets out there and if they show up, they're gonna play well. It was more execution. In all phases, not just the offensive line. I think Mason was responsible for 3 of those sacks, and he'll tell you that. So I mean, he's got to get rid of the ball. He's got to do what he's supposed to do, and that happens sometimes. He's still a young player on the road, and that was by far the noisiest place we had been in.
Pat, you mentioned that the offense didn't play particularly well at Syracuse, but nonetheless, every game that Mason started, you guys have scored a touchdown on your opening drive. Has there been any correlation, just game in, game out, on why you've been able to start hot offensively?
Yeah. I mean, we've started hot offensively the last 4 games. If you go back to Louisville, we went right down the field. We ended up kicking a field goal. So the last 3 games we've scored touchdowns. The Louisville game, we had a field goal. But if you go back and you rewind and go to that Louisville game and look at the first drive, Malachi drops a pass in the right flat on our sideline. That's going to be a touchdown. We score on that drive on 3rd down. But he drops a pass. Again, execution. To me, we should have scored 4 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks. So our offense started fast. I mean, and again, obviously it was a 37-yard this week after a great interception by our corner. Come on. So I think nice short field helped us as well. But it's what it is.
Hey, does this say something about your team though, that it can not play maybe as well as you would like and still win on the road?
Absolutely. It tells you we find different ways to win, and I think that's huge. It's kind of the adversity. I mean, you put yourself in those positions, you don't want to be in it, but again, we beat them pretty handily when you look at the scoreboard. but it was a lot tighter as a coach. You sit on the sideline, but our guys didn't look at the scoreboard. They didn't blink, as I said, and that's the impressive thing is our guys didn't panic. And to me, I like to win when we don't play good. Okay, think about that. If you don't play good on one side of the ball and you win, that's huge. And we would all been sick to our stomachs if we don't play well, we don't execute well on one side of the ball or the other, and you lose the game. So I think, Will, that's a fair question, and absolutely, if you said, I would rather have that than a BC game where you're up 48-0 or whatever. What do you find out about your team? We found out a lot about what kind of character we have in that room.
To your point about Lynham's interceptions, picks have been hard to come by for the secondary up until last weekend. 3 by the secondary against Syracuse. Just did the corners and safeties do anything different just to put themselves in a better position to get takeaways? Or what'd you say?
It's a little bit of both. A little bit of the quarterback, a little bit of what we did, but with some of the different changes in coverage, whatever. Every week we have a different kind of. And again, Coach Sanders, Coach Collins, Coach Bates obviously do a great job just scheming you up and making sure that we're in the right coverages and those guys make plays. And again, sometimes they come in droves. Our linebackers have been the guys catching the ball and it's just a matter of time. Tamon, Kavir, and then obviously Cruz would have liked to score on one of those returns. Kavir had the best chance to score. If Cruz stays down the sideline, I think he's got a chance because that's where our blockers are. It's where they're taught to go. But sometimes sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not, and I'm just glad they caught the ball.
What has Nick Lappy done over the course of his career so that you guys trust him kind of implicitly going in for a guy like Rasheem?
Yeah, Nick Lappy's, we had a lot of faith in Nick that he can go out there and execute it. He's just gotten better. He's developed throughout the years. There was times, he was up and down. He'd have a great play, and then it's like, Nick, what are you doing? But he's a kid who came here as a walk-on under a scholarship, and I'm excited for Nick and how he performed that day. I know his mom was. I don't know if I told you after the game. I told his mom probably Friday night that he was starting. Nick didn't say a word to his mother. I said, don't tell him. I think he doesn't really want to let you know because she's probably his harshest critic, which is awesome. But he wanted to say, he goes, I'll surprise her at game time. So I had to let her know so she'd get excited.
What did you, oh, go ahead.
He doesn't know that either. He'll probably find out today.
What did you see in Cameron Lindsay and his ability to, kind of last minute have to go in for Kyle Lewis?
Yeah, well, it's never last minute, right? He prepares every game like he's going to be the starter. I'd like to, his most significant reps he's had in a game. We know we got a lot of faith in Cam. And then when you get those opportunities and play like you did, again, I thought he started off really good, and I thought he got a little tired and maybe mentally exhausted. I don't know, but that comes from experience. So he will be better for it, and he played well.
Pat, to those two guys, you've had to go into your depth at linebacker and defensive line. How do you feel overall that some of those guys have performed, or that your depth has shown out here?
Depth has shown up. Now we'll see if it shows up this week, right? I think the better team you play, the better. We'll find out if it shows up this week. But hopefully we get a little bit healthier. But who knows? You got a week of practice to go. But it shows that our guys come out and execute. Our coaches have done a great job putting them in position to execute. Tells you, our guys that they understand our defense, and whether they're the starter or whether they're the third team guy, they go in there and try to execute the best they can and play hard, play with effort, and that's what we've seen. Whether it's our linebackers, our safeties, our corners. We've been banged up all season on defense for some reason, and our guys have stepped up, and we found a guy to put him like. Shadarian Harrison didn't play at all. Again, he was a game time decision as well. So, and I think he could have gone if we wanted to, but we were, Sean Lee's playing well, and Tamon and Rashad being back. It's just we go through these phases.
Your run defense is 4th in the country. You talked about maybe there was some disrespect before the game. What just makes this front 7 a little bit differently, maybe other than like executing compared to some of your units in the past?
We'll find out this weekend. If we can stop Hollywood, then and stay the top 10, that'd be nice. But I think our defense is built to stop the run. That's what we pride ourselves on. I know some people go crazy when we don't stop a pass, but to try to make them one-dimensional if they don't have a running game. And again, I think they came in the game thinking they could run it on us against the little Panthers up front, and we're going to make sure that doesn't happen. And again, regardless of who we're playing with in that front 7, we're going to find a way to stop the run.
This is back-to-back weeks now that you've sort of talked about being disrespected. First with the O-line, 2 weeks ago, now the D-line. How's that been sort of motivating you guys, as the season has gone along?
I don't know. I get motivated by it, so I don't know if the players do. I get motivated if I hear something or something is said, in the news or on the field. I'm old school though, right? I mean, I don't get that. I see news articles. I get opponent news during the week and what's happening with our opponents, what they're saying. That's the one thing I read. Mark Dethorne gives me my opponent news. That's all I need, and Mike gives me stuff that I need. Again, as a coach, I think you get motivated. Sometimes I'm not sure if the players get motivated, or care. But to me, it cranks me up. But I'm old school.
I think in the first half there were 4 false starts on offense. How do you go about cleaning up those types of penalties?
Yeah.
Procedural stuff?
I think we got a little bit frazzled and started to do stuff that again, it was noisy. And like I said, I'll put that on me. That's not Kendall's fault. I'll blame myself. I just didn't have it loud enough, I guess. Maybe we should have gone to a silent cadence, I guess. But it was talking to those guys, it was a lot louder than, I want to say practice, but it was a lot louder than it was the week before Florida State. You're in the dome, but if you didn't see it the week before, we really haven't had a problem with it. It's a one game thing. It's is it a lack of focus? I know Kendall talked about I was starting to thought maybe I should peek at the ball and then peek at my guy, and I'm like, don't start doing things in a game that you really haven't done in practice. You got to practice that stuff. So I think it's a young guy that's again, maybe he's not a young guy, a guy that playing Power 4 football in an atmosphere like that for the first time, and it just maybe got him a little bit more, but he won't have that problem this week.
Kenny had that punt return for a touchdown at the end of the first half. How has he developed as a returner, especially on punt returns with Des out?
Yeah, I mean that punter, he hit some bombs. Besides his kickoff return, he does a great job fielding the punt. Usually we have Des back there, or at least had him, as our starter. But Kenny, we know he's a great returner. He's a great kickoff returner. He's been that way. We've tried to give him a break on kickoff returns, and we know he's a superb punt returner as well. So he can make plays with the ball in his hands as a receiver. You guys have seen him catch and run. I mean, he's going to be your gap guy. He's going to get yards after a catch, and he's dangerous with the ball in his hand as a returner as well.
Pat, what's the push-pull there when you have a guy that's so important to your offense in that return position? Where things, look, obviously he's a dynamic player, but sometimes bad things happen, right, on punt returns. Like in the NFL, you don't see that a lot where the team's top receiver is also the kick returner. It's
Right.
just something that doesn't happen.
I mean, you got guys flying down, a lot of times unblocked, taking shots at your punt returner, your kick returner. You got to be smart with it. Like you said, in the NFL, I don't get to watch much NFL, but it makes sense that you got a specialist back there. That's what he does, and he gets paid to do that. So, if you feel comfortable having a guy back there, you got to go with it. And again, the most important one is punt returns, because you're going to have opportunities there, probably more than people that are kicking touchbacks. So, we'll put our money into that. And again, going back to Kenny's return, the execution by our guys blocking. And I've talked to you about Coach Bernowski and Coach Dodd. The work they've done. If you go back and it's obviously impressive what Kenny does there, but the blocking and the technique used and how we do things, to me, is what's special. And it's something nobody sees. But Rashad Battle, had a great block. Abe Ibrahim had a great block. We had guys doing what they're supposed to do exactly to a T. When good things like that happen, there's a reason.
Do you look at the standings at all after, were you aware of what happened on Friday night in Miami? Were you guys aware of that?
Yeah. I didn't I don't have to look at the standings to watch that game late at night. And I also watched, right as we got off the plane, we landed, 2 o'clock in the morning. We were watching on the plane. I think everybody had the other game, the Florida State game on as well, watching how they lost that game, which I thought was a touchdown at the end. I don't know what you guys thought. I can't believe they didn't call it a touchdown at the end, but I was shocked by that. I don't know how that's going after the game, but but right as we landed, then the TVs on the plane went off, and we didn't get to really see how. But I had it on my dashboard on the way home on my iPad. I was able to watch the last part of that as I was driving down up 79 North. Right as Tommy got hit and taken out of the game with the targeting call, got to watch the other kid come in and finish that game off. But tough one. So I don't watch. I watch games. I watch football. I like to see what happens. but I don't look at the standings, but I know who's doing what. But, you know, the Miami game, again, anybody can beat anybody, you know that? I mean, who'd they play again? Was it Duke? Louisville. Louisville's a good football team. You know, shoot, we saw that now. Again, you know, we beat ourselves in that game, but it just tells you what kind of football team we have. It tells you what kind of team Louisville is going to be. And we know Miami is talented and a great football team that will bounce back.
Well, I guess the reason I asked that because it looks like the league is kind of wide open again, right? Like it just, I mean, there's a big cluster of y'all halfway through the season that have a shot to get to Charlotte, right? I mean, is that good for the league, or is that good? Or we're in the area of the playoff? Is
Well,
that maybe
you're
not
asking a
good?
football coach. You know, if you ask all the analysts, it's bad. It's like nobody's good. Like Miami's still really good. Georgia Tech's good. Miami's good. Louisville's good. To me, it makes it fun in the conference that everybody's got a chance. It's not Ohio State and everybody else. So I think it's a good thing. It's not just top heavy. From top to bottom, the ACC, I've said this for 10 years now, is probably top to bottom the best conference in the country, and that's why, because there's good athletes, there's good depth, and anybody can win on any given day. You can go up to Syracuse and get your butt whooped. That's why it's so impressive that, you know, after a big emotional win at Florida State, we were able to bounce back the next week and get another one on the road and not play great. So, you know, it's a great conference.
Anything final?
In honor of Jerry DePaulo, who's not here, did you lose
that
anybody
it?
for the season? And sometimes you forget, and on your way out, you go, oh, by the way, so and so's done. Anybody that you got hurt on Saturday,
great
are
question.
they out? Are they done for the season?
No, that's good news.
All right.
Anything else, Jerry?